So, I want to talk about something. Um, First of all, um, please ignore my assortment of random items on the floor here. I'm organizing, and apparently, when I organize, I appear the most unorganized. Because I like to get everything laid out, and then I can make sense of it. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about right now. So what I want to talk about is the inertia of life, and how it, just what it does to you. I guess I would say, because the question I was asking myself recently is, when will this cycle break? When will these behaviors change? When will I change? When you get into a habitual cycle, or if you've just been in a habitual cycle for the longest time, it starts to feel like you're on a crash course, and it's like you're in a roller coaster you never wanted to be in. And or maybe you did at first. It seemed fun from the outside, but now that you're in it, you definitely don't want to stay on it. And you're heading off, and you've just been informed halfway through the ride that there's a dead end. Like, you know, those trains, sometimes they have a dead end. They have that little wooden thing at the end where it's like stop. It's like you've just been informed mid roller coaster ride that that's what awaits you at the end of the ride, and that you keep trying to get out, but you don't find a way to get out. And there's like an inertia with it, with all behaviors, but when it's negative behaviors, the inertia is so pressing. It's anxiety inducing, because you're like, you want to change and you wonder, will I ever? And I'm born again and I'm Christian, which Christian means 1,800 different things today. But I follow Yahusha, Jesus Christ, and I got free from a lot of bondages I had. But it's intense when post born again, several years into being born again, you have a destructive thing in your life, a sin pattern, and it's just eating you alive. It's repeating. It's a cycle. And you know, you've gotten your deliverance, you've done this, you've done that, and this thing remains. And it can become a very hopeless place. And that's kind of why I'm making this video, because I thought about, like, man, that was me, and I know I can't stay here. You get to this point where, like, I know I can't stay here. But I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. But what I want to talk about is, like, that question. When you know better, you know you have tools to not do this, but here you are. And the questions are like, will I ever not do this? Will I ever escape this? Will I ever change? And I want to say to you, the answer 100% is yes. If your heart wants to change, you will eventually change. Because you're always going to eventually follow what your heart wants. That's why it's so important that God gets your heart. If he doesn't have your heart, you know, you'll go any which way. Whatever your heart is tied to, that is where you'll go. So I'm saying, even if you're in this sin pattern and it's terrible, if your heart is in the hand of the Lord, if you've given Yahuwah your heart, and you really want him, but you find yourself stuck over here, eventually, you're going to get pulled out. You're going to get pulled out. You're going to get pulled this way. I'm not saying stop resisting. No, 100% keep resisting. That's what you do. But just to like silence those voices that say, will it ever change? Will it ever change? Know that wherever your heart is where you're going to end up. That's why some people will enter the faith and they'll start living the way. But if their heart was never really in it, or their heart is attached to someone else or something else other than Yahusha, Jesus, they're going to go that way. Even though they've stepped into the faith, they will find themselves drifting out of it. And in the same way, if you're genuinely, your heart's for him and it's in him, and you really want him with all your heart, the terrible side quest of sin that has no rewards that you've been in, eventually you're going to reroute. And, you know, that's a simple thing I just said. It's not very profound, so to speak. But I know in the darkness of the season, those words are like everything. Those words are everything. To know it doesn't have to be this way, and it won't always be this way, is everything. Because that's how despair works. When you don't believe there's a way to change, it's like, why? You know, when you don't believe, like I used to be suicidal, and you become suicidal when you believe there's no help. There's no help. There's no availability to get help. When you believe there's no way to get out of this, you're like, well, and I just don't want that for you or for anyone. Like, I don't want people to go around believing the lies that things can't change, because they definitely can and they definitely will. Just make sure your heart is sure. Put your heart in the right place. Give your heart to him, and everything else is going to work out, bro. One way or another, you know. Now, you might go through all of this to get to the other side, but the other side is definitely there. And it's all about the heart. He looks on the heart. Oh, sorry. But that's it. Okay. Bye.